Iranian Navy losses. Alvin-class frigates destroyed. Mouj-class frigates destroyed. Multiple Kilo-class submarines, their highest grade of submarine Iran possessed, destroyed. Multiple Ghadir-class submarines destroyed. Iran's largest naval vessel, Makran, a converted oil tanker serving as a mobile drone carrier, destroyed. Navy vessel, Iranian Navy vessel, drone carrier, destroyed. Everything's on fire. Everything's on fire. And this Iranian ship, the Dena, sinking, now sunk, off the coast of Sri Lanka after a U.S. Navy strike. Only 30 of the 180 sailors on board have been rescued so far. This is thousands of miles away from Iran, Sri Lanka. They were on some kind of naval demonstration event. They were returning home to Iran now that the war started. Not going so well. Sunk. The Dena is one of Iran's most prized warships, built entirely in Iran, commissioned only 5 years ago, 2021. Just weeks ago, it was taking part in a naval exercise in India. Now it's sinking thousands of miles from home.
Over the initial days, the U.S. joint forces continued to attack and attrit ballistic missile capabilities as well as integrated air defense capabilities along the southern axis. Along the northern axis, Israel and the Israeli Air Force has predominantly been working integrated air defense targets along the northern flank, as well as medium-range ballistic missile capability as well. From the sea, the USS Ford has continued to project combat power here, as well as the bomber pulses that we talked about in the opening days of this briefing. Along the southern axis, the USS Abraham Lincoln Strike Group has continued to provide pressure from the sea along the southeastern side of the coast and has been attriting naval capability all along the strait and up into the Arabian Gulf at a size and scale sufficiently to address the targets required. To date, we've hit over 2,000 targets, as Admiral Cooper said in his video last night. We've destroyed more than 20 Iranian naval vessels, including, in addition to the frigate outside of the area, one submarine, and effectively neutralized at this point in time Iran's major naval presence in theater out there. As the Secretary showed the video, for the first time since 1945, a United States Navy fast attack submarine has sunk an enemy combatant ship using a single Mark 48 torpedo to achieve immediate effect, sending the warship to the bottom of the sea. I want to remind everybody that this is an incredible demonstration of America's global reach. To hunt, find, and kill an out-of-area deployer is something that only the United States can.
Only the United States can do. And here's a picture of that torpedo. Not the specific torpedo, of course, is gone. But the Mark 48 torpedo he just referred to, this is what they look like. One torpedo sunk this vessel. That's not common from World War II. In fact, in World War II, the first couple of years of the war, our torpedoes barely worked at all, or I should say they rarely worked. But our modern torpedoes are quite a different bag of cats to deal with. Another funny meme. Marco, when he's been told he's been given command of the Iranian Navy, John Conrad, he's an expert on shipping matters. He's a maritime sailor. Really great follow on X. I'm sure I quote him more than once in today's show. Another sinking. U.S. confirms it struck and destroyed Iran's best submarine, the Fatah. Gone. Nick Sorter, independent journalist, reports Iran only has small boats left after the U.S. military sunk all 11 Iranian military ships in the Gulf of Oman. This makes it incredibly difficult for the Iranians to achieve their goal of closing the Strait of Hormuz. They'll still be able to close it. They can close it with their drones. Let's see if we have this clip is short enough to play here.
Take a look at this new video shared by U.S. CENTCOM. You can see the U.S. is destroying Iran's ballistic missiles so far, hitting 1,250 targets. And President Trump says the most punishing blows have yet to come. And more help is coming too, Sean. The U.S. is deploying more troops to the Middle East and more air assets, as the number of killed U.S. troops now stands at 6. U.S. Central Command shared this video as well of an Iranian ship being absolutely obliterated degraded. The U.S. has sunk 11 Iranian ships. Defense officials tell Fox Iran only has small boats left, but still could mine the Strait of Hormuz. Iran says it's closed. The U.S. says it isn't. Meanwhile, 3 American fighter jets got shot down accidentally by Kuwaiti air defense today. All 6 American pilots are okay. The incident is under investigation. Iran also continues firing on American bases all across the region. The smoke you see here, though, Sean, is rising from the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait today. Also, tonight, the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia got hit by 2 Iranian Shahed drones. Thankfully, nobody was injured, as Iran not only targets civilian infrastructure, but now also oil and gas infrastructure, Sean. We'll send it.
So the Iranians can still close the Strait of Hormuz with the threat of drone attacks. They have these sizable drones that would be a threat to vessels, especially oil and liquefied natural gas vessels. So we have to obliterate that drone threat, which we're in the process of doing now. If Iran were to put sea mines into the Strait of Hormuz, that would definitely shut it down. Mines are incredibly effective and incredibly cost-effective. America used them with great effect against Japan in World War II. We would drop 3 or 4 mines in a harbor, and that was it. It would shut down the whole harbor. And they're very difficult to counter against. The trouble with dropping mines in is it's basically irreversible for Iran. Then it really shuts down the Strait of Hormuz for everybody. And their ally China would be very unhappy about that, because a huge proportion of what China imports, including the oil that China does not have in the ground itself, it has to import it, comes through the Strait of Hormuz. So I think the Iranians would even consider mining the Strait of Hormuz only as an absolute, we're about to be totally annihilated effort. Just a reminder, Marco Rubio, who I never thought much of as a senator, to tell you the truth, not sure exactly why. He wasn't my senator. He was in Florida, of course. Always seemed like a bit of a rhino to me, but he was always on the right page when it came to Iran. This is him 11 years ago voting against the Obama initiative to give Iran billions of dollars and other breaks.
Mr. President, I'll be brief. I know the senator from Tennessee would like to close on this matter. I think everything that needs to be said about the details of this deal have already been said. I do want to be recorded for history's purposes before I know what is going to happen in regards to this if it goes through. Iran will immediately use the money that it's receiving in sanctions relief to begin to build up its conventional capabilities. It will establish the most dominant military power in the region outside of the United States, and it will raise the price of us operating in the region. They're going to build anti-access capabilities, rockets capable of destroying our aircraft carriers and ships, continue to build these swift boats that are able to come on us, these fast boats that are able to swarm our naval assets. And they'll make it harder and harder for U.S. troops to be in the region. They'll also work with other terrorist groups in the region to target American servicemen and women. And they may or may not deny that they're involved, but they will target us and raise the price of our presence in the Middle East until they hope to completely pull us out of that region. They'll also continue to build long-range missiles, missiles capable of reaching the United States. Those are not affected by this deal, and they'll continue to build them as they've been doing. And then at some point in the near future, when the time is right, they will build a nuclear weapon. And they will do so because at that point they will know that they have become immune, that we will no longer be able to strike their nuclear program because the price of doing so will be too high. This is not just a work of imagination. It exists in the world today. It's called North Korea, where a lunatic possesses dozens of nuclear weapons and a long-range rocket that can already reach the United States. And we cannot do anything about it. An attack on North Korea today would result in an attack on Tokyo, or Seoul, or Guam, or Hawaii, or California. And so the world must now live with a lunatic in possession of nuclear weapons. And this is the goal Iran has as well, to reach a point where they become immune to any sort of credible military threat because the price of a military strike would be too high. And then they become an established nuclear weapons power. And never in the history of the world has such a regime ever possessed weapons so capable of destruction. Iran is led by a supreme leader who is a radical Shia cleric with an apocalyptic vision of the future. He is not a traditional geopolitical actor who makes decisions on the basis of borders or simply history or because of ambitions. He has an religious apocalyptic vision of the future, one that calls for triggering a conflict between the non-Muslim world and the Muslim world, one that he feels especially obligated to trigger. And he's going to possess nuclear weapons. This is the world that we are on the verge of leaving our children to inherit. and perhaps we ourselves will have to share in it. And so I want to be recorded for history's purposes, if nothing else, to say that those of us who opposed this deal understood where it would lead, and we are making a terrible mistake. And I fear that a passage of this deal will make it even harder for us to prevent it. And I hope...
Okay. He certainly nailed that 11 years ago, didn't he? That's exactly where we are today. And of course, the entire time. And for decades before, Iran and its proxy forces have been waging war against Americans.
Yeah, I would hope that Iranian TV is carrying Marco Rubio today, the same as y'all just carried the Iranian foreign minister today. We certainly have been provoked on this. Just a year ago, we had over 180 attacks from Iran on Americans, either through their proxies or directly from Iran. They continue to be able to fund the attack of ships off the coast of Yemen. Obviously, they're funding Hezbollah, the Shia militants. They have continued to be able to attack us now for decades, and that is accelerated. So just because we have blocked their attacks doesn't mean they're not attacking us. So this becomes the situation where you're shooting at a police officer and telling him you can't fire back unless they hit you. We've continued to be able to block them, find ways to be able to prevent their attacks. But they have certainly been attacking us. We ended their nuclear program, and they said we're going to start all over again because they are determined to have a nuclear weapon. And so this is the moment to be able to say you're going to stop attacking American citizens, and you're not going to have a nuclear.
And another take on this same point.
This is a regime that continues to perpetrate violence throughout the world against Americans. No regime in the last 20 years has killed more Americans than Iran. So there was a moment where the president gave Iran many alternatives for off-ramps. A peaceful resolution to this. You have to get rid of your ballistic missiles. You have to both say you're going to stop. I heard the senator on the previous segment. Right now, part of what we're hearing from our sources in the administration is that Iran was continuing to work on its nuclear program. So this is absolutely justified, and this is an imminent threat to Americans around the region and around the world. And if you have any doubt about that, just look at the sad list of people that have been killed by Iranian proxies.
The sad list of people who've been killed by Iranian proxies.